It was a gloomy November evening when I found myself hurrying through the bustling subway train station. My name is Amelia Watson, and I work as a literature teacher at Hillside Academy. The daunting task of grading papers late into the night had detained me at the school, and now I was rushing to catch the last train home. As I descended the steps into the dimly lit station, a chill ran down my spine. The air felt heavy, and an eerie silence hung in the air, only punctuated by the distant rumble of approaching trains. I quickened my pace, feeling a sense of unease creeping up on me. Making my way through the labyrinthine tunnels, I suddenly heard a faint whisper that echoed through the corridor. Startled, I glanced around, finding no one in sight. My heart raced as I continued along the deserted platform, my footsteps echoing against the tiled walls. Lost in my own thoughts, I didn't notice the man until he was right behind me. Tall and menacing, with a shabby hat pulled low over his face, he emitted an air of malevolence. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end as he whispered, his voice dripping with malice. "You should have stayed at the school, Miss Watson." I turned my head sharply, my eyes meeting his cold, piercing gaze. Fear surged through me as I struggled to maintain my composure. "Who are you?" I managed to stammer, my voice trembling. A sinister smile crept across his face, and he took a step closer, his voice barely audible. "Your worst nightmare," he hissed, before disappearing into thin air. Confusion muddled my mind as I stood there, alone and trembling. Had I merely imagined the encounter, or was there something truly sinister afoot? My instincts told me not to ignore his warning, and with renewed determination, I hurried towards the platform in search of help. The platform was deserted, save for a flickering fluorescent light that illuminated the peeling paint on the walls. A wave of impending dread washed over me as I felt a presence lingering in the air. Each step I took echoed hollowly, the sound bouncing off the walls like a whispering cacophony. Suddenly, a chilling breeze blew through the tunnels, rustling my hair and sending shivers racing down my spine. The temperature dropped drastically, and a deep, guttural moan filled the air. I gasped, my heart pounding in my chest, as I sensed a malevolent force lingering just out of sight. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of a shadowed figure lurking in the shadows. It stood tall, its form inky and indistinct. Fear gripped me as I desperately tried to make out its features, but the figure flickered in and out of focus. My pulse quickened as it moved closer, closing the gap between us. I could hear its labored breathing, a sound that sent chills down my spine. With mounting terror, I realized that I was not alone on the platform. The figure materialized before me, revealing a ghostly apparition of a woman. Her ethereal visage was pale and gaunt, her eyes empty hollows devoid of life. She reached out towards me, her fingers icy cold, as though seeking solace in a world she no longer belonged to. In a hushed voice, she spoke in a haunting whisper. "Beware, dear teacher. This station conceals a terrible secret. Heed my warning, lest you be consumed by the relentless darkness that lurks within." Confusion and curiosity swirled within me as her words sank in. Who was this tormented spirit, and what was the secret she alluded to? Determined to unravel this mystery, I mustered up all the courage I could muster and asked, "What happened here? Why are you trapped?" A sense of anguish crossed her face as she recounted the tragic tale. Long ago, this subway station was a place of great horror. It was here that a deranged serial killer roamed, preying on innocent victims. The darkness that stained these walls has imprisoned my soul, and I am condemned to relive the atrocities that occurred here. My mind raced as her story unfolded, like pages in a grisly novel. It was during the 1930s that this underground railway had served as a macabre hunting ground for a bloodthirsty murderer. The authorities had eventually captured the culprit, but the darkness that had seeped into the walls remained, forever tainting this cursed place. As I listened, an ominous presence descended upon us, suffusing the air with malevolence. Shadows danced on the walls, their movements mocking and cruel, I could feel the weight of the past pressing down upon me, threatening to consume me whole. I knew I had to escape, but the spirits surrounding me had other plans. The tormented woman's hollow voice filled the station, seeping into my very core. "You cannot leave, dear teacher. The darkness here will not allow it. You are trapped, just as we are." A chorus of ghostly voices echoed through the station, filling my ears with their mournful laments. The lost souls that had met their gruesome end here were pleading, begging for release from their eternal torment. Overwhelmed by their pain, I fought against the suffocating atmosphere, desperate to set them free. In a resolute voice, I cried out, "I will find a way to break this curse. I will not rest until you find peace." With newfound determination, I began scouring the station for any clues that might lead me to the truth. Every nook and cranny held pieces of the puzzle, waiting to be discovered. I meticulously examined faded photographs, old newspaper clippings, and cryptic messages scrawled onto the peeling walls. As I deciphered the hidden messages, a pattern emerged. The murderer had had an accomplice, one who had never been caught. They had orchestrated a series of heinous crimes, leaving a trail of suffering in their wake. Hours turned into days as I immersed myself in the dark history of the subway station. The more I uncovered, the more disturbed I became. The accomplice had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a legacy of fear and despair. But the clues pointed to a chilling conclusion. This malevolent force was still present. The murderer's sinister soul had found a way to exist beyond death, and it lurked in the shadows, seeking revenge on anyone who dared to unearth its secrets. Realizing the urgency of the situation, I enlisted the help of a skeptical but open-minded detective, Inspector Charles Reeves. Together, we delved deeper into the depths of the station, our footsteps echoing against the concrete walls. Time was running out, and we knew that failure meant being trapped in the clutches of darkness forever. As we pieced together the fragments of the past, we discovered a hidden chamber deep within the station. Its walls were covered in incoherent scribbles, the ramblings of a deranged mind. The killer's lair had become our last hope of stopping the evil that had plagued this place for decades. Armed with the knowledge we had acquired, Inspector Reeves and I made our way to the chamber. The stale air hung heavily around us as we stepped into the lair. The killer's presence seemed to fill the room, an oppressive force that threatened to crush our resolve. We took cautious steps forward, our hearts pounding in our chests. Suddenly, a chilling laughter echoed through the chamber, a sound so sinister it made my blood run cold. The killer's disembodied voice taunted us. "You dare challenge me, mortal? You will never escape my clutches." Darkness erupted from the shadows, manifesting in swirling tendrils of malevolence. They enveloped the room, twisting and writhing like serpents, hungry for prey. Panic washed over me, but I fought against the paralyzing fear, refusing to succumb to their grasp. Inspector Reeves and I exchanged a knowing glance, silently steeling ourselves for the battle ahead. We knew we were facing a spectral entity, one that could not be vanquished by conventional means. We needed to outsmart it, to reveal its true weakness and expose it to the light. Casting aside our doubts and fears, we embarked on a desperate quest for answers. We pored over forgotten documents, analyzing every detail until a revelation struck me like lightning. The killer's true identity. It was an unexpected twist, a name that had been conveniently brushed aside by history. "Begone, Mary Austin!" I cried out, my voice filled with conviction. "Your reign of terror ends now!" As I spoke her name, the chamber trembled, and Mary Austin's ghostly form flickered with insubstantiality. Anguish crossed her face as the truth hung heavy in the air. With a deafening wail, she dissipated into spectral mist, relinquishing the grip she had on this cursed place. The station came alive with a blinding light, a beacon of hope cutting through the darkness. I could hear the spirits whispering joyously, their voices soaring in elation as they found release from their tormented existence. It was a moment of triumph, a victory over the forces of evil that had plagued this place for too long. With the curse lifted, I made my way back to the now empty platform. The gates of the subway station opened before me, and I stepped into the cool night air. The once foreboding underground now felt strangely serene, as though nature itself was rejoicing at the victory we had attained. As I prepared to leave, a flicker of movement caught my eye. Glancing back one last time, I caught sight of a spectral figure, ethereal and full of gratitude. The tormented woman smiled, her eyes now filled with peace, and whispered a final word of warning. "Be vigilant, dear teacher. Evil lurks in plain sight, ready to strike when least expected." And with that, she vanished into the night. Weeks had passed since my fateful encounter at the subway station. Life at Hillside Academy had returned to a semblance of normalcy, but the memory of that night still lingered in the recesses of my mind. As I stood before my classroom, a loud clang resonated through the hallways. Startled, I turned to see the ancient school bell swinging back and forth, its chime echoing through the empty corridors. A cold draft breezed past me, carrying with it a faint whisper. I could almost make out the words, a reminder that evil could never truly be defeated. It lingered, waiting for another opportunity to rear its malevolent head. Refusing to be plagued by fear, I squared my shoulders and issued a challenge to the unseen forces. "You may try to haunt this place, but I will never falter. I will remain vigilant, ready to protect the innocent from the darkness that seeks to consume them." I was taught by the best, Holmes himself, whose tenacity in the face of the unknown had always inspired me. In the spirit of my literary idol, I vowed to uncover and expose the hidden evils that lurked in the shadows, no matter the cost. As I continue to teach literature at Hillside Academy, I often find myself regaling my students with tales of that fateful encounter. The story of the haunted subway station, the tormented souls, and the evil that was finally vanquished serves as a reminder that darkness can hide just beneath the surface, even in the most unsuspecting places. Though the malevolent spirit of Mary Austen was banished from the subway station, there are still unsolved mysteries that I vow to unravel. This horrifying tale serves as a constant reminder of the depths humankind is capable of sinking to, and the importance of never turning a blind eye to the darkness that may lie within our own hearts. The forlorn spirits of the subway station may have found peace, but their memory lives on, serving as a reminder of the victims who suffered at the hands of evil. Their stories demand justice and remembrance, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. As I conclude my tale, I cannot help but feel a sense of duty that lingers within me. The world is full of stories waiting to be told, mysteries longing to be solved, and just as the tormented spirits found solace, so too shall my quest for justice and the unmasking of evil continue. For there will always be those who seek to exploit the innocents, and it is up to us, the steadfast guardians, to bring them to light.